Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show, where we celebrate the innovators driving change in the education industry. At Edison OS, we've worked with over 500 knowledge entrepreneurs to turn their edtech ideas into profitable businesses. Hi, Sujoy. Good evening. Welcome to the Knowledge Entrepreneurs Show. Thank you so much for taking time out to be here with me today.
Thank you for inviting me to the show, Jagmohan. It's a pleasure to converse with you. So let's start. What questions you have? Yeah, I'm ready to share my journey. Yeah, okay.
It's just a conversation about your journey. I'm
Yeah,
not going to have any questions as such. So, yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited.
Okay.
Um, Pleasure is also mine. So, okay. So, my first question is, Sujoy, before we get into, the business that you're running now, if you can walk us through your journey up until the point you decided to get into the education domain as a career choice.
Yeah. So I was doing my masters. Like I did my bachelor's from Jadavpur University, then went on to do my masters from IIT Kharagpur. I had IIC as a choice. Also decided to go ahead with something which was closer back home. So that's the reason why I took up IIT Kharagpur. So I did come fifth in GATE mechanical in that year, All India. I
Right,
went on to do my masters, was the topper in IIT Kharagpur, then went to Germany for my masters. I mean, master's project.
right.
Yeah, in Germany under the DAD scholarship. So all was going fine. I had more or less decided that I would go into higher education's research and all. I had completed my TOEFL also. I was almost going to write the GRE. I got a 297 on 300 at that point in TOEFL. So that was out of 300 at that point. I remember as
Wow. Okay.
very long back, 2006 around.
Okay.
And then I understood that it's not that easy for me because I kind of was I'm not very happy staying alone and sticking to research for like I understood that it was at least 4 or 5 years that I'd have to spend time on research. I
Right.
didn't think that I had it in me to continue doing that for such a long time, I mean, I'm kind of, you say, a Bengali guy, right? I am more attached to my family side, sacrifice career for my family anytime. So that's that's something which I decided no enough.
Okay.
So I did my research. I mean, master's project, came back to India, and unfortunately, since I had already decided my scope was to go into research, I had skipped placements in IIT. So I had not
Ah,
attended a single IIT and placement. So I had all those top companies coming in. I left everything. So then I was in a soup. That I had to do something. So at that point, TIME, time you must be knowing, like Triumphant Institute of Management, like TIME.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah,
Time.
it
Yeah.
gets into CAT and also was hiring faculty for CAT training for quant, and quant was something which was like I knew in and out of. So I decided I'll just go ahead and do some classes for some period of time. Then once I'm more or less settled in India back, get a job, leave that and join as a thing. And
Okay.
then that I decided not to. So once I started doing that, I fell in love so much with this whole idea.
Right.
So I decided no, I'm not going to change. I'll just stick to that. And that was in 2007. This is 2023. So 16 years.
Nice. What was it about teaching that made you fall in love with it?
Um, I had taken CAD at that point of time. I knew the in and outs, what difficulties students face, what are the concepts that they usually get stuck on. So I felt like I had a lot to contribute. It was very fresh to me, all of that. As a
Right.
student, I had made the journey, so I knew what students are. And I was very young at the time, almost their age. So I was teaching a bunch of kids who were my age group only. So I knew
Right.
exactly
Right.
the instant connect was there. I loved interacting with them, clearing their doubts. And maths was a challenge. So after that point of time, I used to go into the class saying that you throw at me any question, I'll solve it.
Okay.
So that was kind of a challenge, and that gave me that impetus to continue. So that's the
Great.
main thing, main thing that drove me for at least the next 5-10 years. So I went on from time. I went on to career launcher, all in Calcutta. I never moved out of Calcutta. I had
Okay.
a lot of opportunities in test prep also. There were some companies in Dubai and all that who had got in touch with me. But the main thing was I left everything for Calcutta. So there's
Yeah,
no
exactly.
reason
Why would
of,
you again leave? Yeah.
yeah, so there's no reason why I would leave. I in fact made it to Fiji also into test like IIT JEE, but it was again located in Delhi, so I had to leave it.
Right.
So yeah, so it was everything centered in Calcutta only. So that was the
Okay.
main crux of the whole thing. So yeah, went
Okay.
into career launcher, then did IMS, thought of trying out. So everything was like almost 2 years kind of stints.
Right. Right. Right.
Then thought of trying out something else in test prep. So I joined a gate preparation company, but
Okay.
not as a faculty, but as a marketing guy. So I wanted to see
Oh
how
wow.
marketing
Okay.
works.
Right.
I wasn't very happy with the entire, experience of that. I did it for around a year also, and then I left, and then came back to again test prep, which was now from CAT. I moved on to Gate GMAT and GRE. So there was this company in Calcutta again, Rhodes Prep.
Right.
So there I was doing faculty, and then that was at that point 2020, and when I my student in time basically he went on to it's Indrajit, so he went on to do MBA from MDI Gurgaon. In
Right.
fact, I can tell you, like I had got into a lot of B schools at that point also. Like I
Okay.
cracked NEET, I could not crack for 1 or 2 percentile points, like point something. For I couldn't crack. I am Ahmedabad, but then I made it to MDI also, NEET also. I left everything, so I just it was like fun at that point. Like just trying out. So the student who had passed out from MDI, I think 2016 or 15 range time,
Mm.
or even before, maybe I guess 12 or 13, yeah, in that range. He came in touch with me again, and we two set up Cubics.
Whoa. Quite a
So we set
journey.
up Cubics in Calcutta. He was also very disheartened and all that. He wasn't happy staying outside. He wanted to come to Calcutta. I was already in Calcutta, so we decided to start. So that we started in 2020 end around
Got it, Sujoy.
2021.
Sujoy, I'm going to go little. I'm going to take a little detour,
Yeah,
just to bring in this perspective, right? Because I don't get to hear this from a lot of guests. You left what could have been a very lucrative career for you, but then
yeah,
you chose. It was your choice.
right.
Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like, how did you, like, what did you tell yourself? Look, it must have been this question, right? Money versus other things.
Yeah.
Um, how did that thought process work out?
So
And
at one point of time when I was like just starting off, like
mm,
I was deciding whether to like stay back in test prep, like I just joined time and stay back in test prep or move into research. So I was deciding, so either I have to be extremely good in one of the two things. Either I be very good in research and do excellent job and get into some place like NASA and all, where I'm doing like latest cutting edge technology research, or
right,
I devote my time in becoming in a sort of a faculty who has made some mark, at least, if not globally, at least nationally, and
right,
at the same time earn a lot of money at the as a side thing. But like obviously, so at that time, these were the two things that were kind of driving me. So I was thinking like what to decide. I took a lot of suggestions from my parents, my father, my wife. My wife wanted me to go to research and all because I was already in Germany. So my father said that you would have made a very good manager, most likely, but you have a very I mean, bad or good, I don't know. I had a habit of not liking the same thing for a prolonged period if it became very monotonous and if it was time constrained or time bound. So if I had to like go to office every day at 7 and come back every day at 6, I knew very well that it's not going to be my cup of tea, and that is why I could not stay back in the same company even though desperate for more than 2 years. Like it's tend to get bored because it was
right,
the same processes, same set of content, same type of methodologies that were being followed. So I always wanted to try something different.
right,
So that's where I decided that no, I think staying as a manager or in any company as a corporate wouldn't be something which I would enjoy because it's more set rules. You have a lot of scope to innovate, a lot of things
right,
to do stuff, but then obviously there are certain things which you have to follow,
right,
certain things you must, otherwise it does not work. So I thought that maybe not a very good idea, at least from my perspective. So that is why I got a lot of job opportunities also. Got into like after I came back to India, leaving everything in Germany, I made it to John Deere and Company also. It was a Fortune 500 company manufacturing. It was core my field, But then
Right.
they wanted me to join in Pune within a span of like 2 months or something, or
Right.
1 month or something. So I felt that it was too close. I left that. I got into Pepsi. Then I left that because it was again sending me outside. So
Right.
I got a string of offers. I left everything because it was sending me outside.
You want to
Then,
be in Kolkata.
yeah, then I made it to, at that point, I was also writing CAT myself.
Right.
I for the second time. So I got into a lot of colleges also. As I said, I cracked MDI Gurgaon also. But again, I did not go ahead. In fact, this is a funny anecdote I can share. So
Yeah.
there was
Yeah.
an Ahmedabad interview.
Okay.
I was in two minds. What's the point of going, because I'm not going to take it? So I did not
Oh
just
my
go.
God. Okay.
So I did not just go. And I mean, I planned on not going. Then from my family and all, they said that no, please go. And I ended up reaching late. So they asked me, why are you late? Come back the next day. So then I stopped. I didn't go anymore. So these are like funny things. There's an IIM Calcutta interview where they asked me something like, I told them that I was a faculty and I was teaching. So they asked me like, okay, so you basically teach students shortcut tricks and tell them that this is how you crack CAT. So I was very upfront and said, no, I don't think CAT as such a good exam can be just taught on the basis of shortcut tricks. So I had these sort of conversations. I was always enjoying
Right.
myself
Right. Right.
because
Right.
I never had the intention of getting into any institute. I took the GMAT also. I got a Q51 in GMAT. I got that in 30 minutes. That was a 75-minute section.
Wow. Okay.
So I managed that in 30 minutes. And the English section, I just competed somehow and left the center. So, because I never wanted to, as I said, do an MBA or anything. So, I
Right.
just for fun. So, it's kind of like every year I go and write the CAT, kind of just for fun.
Even
So,
now?
yeah, now also. Last year I had a 99.98 overall.
Oh my God. Okay.
So, that's my hobby, kind of.
Got it. Got it. Got it. This is great. It's thank you for sharing this because I can totally relate that. One thing I can see, your decisions have centered about your city. You wanted to be in your city. Anything that supported that, you were okay. Anything that didn't
Yeah.
support that, you so your decision. And I'm also like that. I'm from Bangalore. For whatever
Okay.
reason, this is my home, and there's a certain. So I can totally relate. And my decisions have also been, is it Bangalore or out of Bangalore? That's
Yeah.
it. Very simple. Anything in Bangalore, we'll do it. So I'm glad to find somebody else, who doesn't find this too limiting or
No,
whatever.
definitely not. Yeah. I mean, there is
Yeah,
a lot of scope to do something in your hometown also. No, this is no problem. You can always travel if required. And then,
exactly. You
yeah,
can always travel. Yeah, but if you are very clear about this is my core thing, then yeah,
yeah,
why
definitely.
not?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. Now, coming back to your journey until the point you started with your student, right? The company that you started, Cubics. Before that, you said all your journey you were a faculty only, except one place where you wanted to try marketing in one
Marketing,
of the
yeah.
gate thing. You said it didn't go very well. Can you share that experience, please?
So, marketing, I had a brief idea like, okay, what marketing is about. So, the marketing guy visits different schools, different colleges, talks to the people, the admin guys, set up meetings, talk to them that this is how you can tie up, this is the benefit. And then, if a deal is done, there are some sample demo sessions that the faculty from the institute goes and takes, and everything goes fine. Then there's a tie up. So, I had a brief idea that this is how it is. I just wanted to make sure that whether I can crack myself one of those deals, not as a faculty, but as a marketing guy, selling my faculty for
Got it.
that purpose. Yeah. So a few things which I did not like was the amount of travel it had to be like throughout the day. I had to keep on moving from one center to another. I had to travel like almost 7-8 hours throughout the day, every day almost, like going from one center to another center by train and then coming back, and then it was very hectic. So
Right.
that is one thing. I'm more of a home person, so I
Yeah,
prefer.
yeah. That is established now. Even within Kolkata, you want to be near your home.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
great.
exactly. So I rarely move out unless I'm
Okay,
going on vacation or something.
right.
So that's one of the reasons I didn't continue that thing for a long period of time. Because I had joined, I just had to see through the thing, so that I mean, just leaving immediately doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. So
Correct,
I
correct, correct.
continued for a brief period of time. Told them that it's not working out, and then gracefully left.
Nice. So you got into this marketing to kind of get practice for your own
Kind
startup.
of. I always had the thing, right? Let's do something on my own.
Right,
So if
right,
I
right.
don't know what marketing is about, then what will I tell my marketing guy to do?
Correct,
So I
correct.
always wanted to do that firsthand. So I had already done a lot of counseling. So I used to do counseling for the students also, just for free with those institutes only. I just talk to the students, and so I knew counseling. I know how to teach more or less. And the only thing which I had no idea was marketing. So I wanted a first-hand experience. So I got that. So I then knew that okay, this is how things run. So people keep you make you waiting, right, for a long period of time. Especially the guys in
Correct.
the admin place, they just keep you waiting just to show that they are in authority, right? So they have the power,
Yes, yes, yes.
and they will not entertain you even if they're not doing anything. And that is one of the major reasons why I was very irritated at that,
Did you
because I
manage to
never
close
want
the
to
deal?
make anyone wait. That's the point. So
Right,
yeah,
right.
so that's the thing.
Did you manage to close the deal?
One, only one.
Cool, cool, cool. Um, and what was it? We were talking about marketing. Okay, cool. You switched back to being a faculty after you decided marketing is not your cup of tea.
Yeah.
And how many years you went back to market? I mean, faculty. You didn't straight away go to start your startup.
No, I went back to being a faculty for another 2 years
Okay.
because yeah, I was into CAT till now, so I hadn't done much of GMAT and GRE in
Right,
my
right, right,
batch. I was doing GMAT, GRE and stuff, but one on one on online as a side thing, which was not in conflict to the CAT test prep anyways because they were only CAT.
right,
But I
right.
wanted to have a first-hand feel of in a batch sort of how it works. So I decided to let's try. So my throughout my life I've been experimenting. So that was also an experiment. Let's see how it works. So I went
Great.
out and tried here.
Okay, this is what I forgot. So when you said, you tried a marketing job to just kind of figure out how marketing is going to be, I had a conversation with another corporate trainer a couple of days back.
Okay.
She started off as a trainer and a freelance trainer. She was getting projects and everything, and she was finding it a little difficult to crack corporate deals.
Okay.
So to understand how that works, she joined a corporate as a trainer to see from inside how it works and stuff like that.
Okay.
So yeah, great.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
That's
Sujoy, you said you changed companies even though it was training only just for the change of atmosphere and processes and stuff like that, right? Were there really a lot of change in processes between
yeah, yeah.
companies? If yes, what are those major differences?
Lot of changes. So without taking names,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
yeah, one of the companies was very focused on research. So they made their content which was like tougher than CAT. So that was like
Okay,
really challenging, solving those questions, trying out with the students and all that.
right,
When I moved to another company, had a belief that why train beyond CAT when CAT is what they have to crack. So let's focus on making things at par with CAT only, so that students who are on the weaker side they can also take a shot.
right,
So the attitude is very different. So there is one. Then on some places there was a lot of importance given to discipline, like
right,
how I mean whether you are on time in the class or whether you are leaving the class on time. Are you leaving 5 or 10 minutes early? Then they would question you why have you left 5 minutes early. So whereas in the other place it was more like as long as you are making the students feel at ease and delivering your duties, then you are fine. You have a buffer of 5-10 minutes, so that's okay. That's not a big deal,
right.
but you should be doing your job properly. So a lot of differences. Some places had okay, you have these classes, you just have to stay in the office for these classes. That's it. The rest of the
Mm,
time you have free. Whereas some places had no, you have to come at this time, then you have to leave at this time, irrespective of how many hours you have. So there are a lot
right,
of differences in attitude, a lot of differences in how they looked at clients.
right,
So there were a lot of
right.
places where cross selling was there. So you get them
As a
into.
teacher, you would be requested to do certain sales, is
No,
it?
I never did that.
Okay.
And the faculties were always different, but I was observing the council
Right,
like
right,
this.
right, right.
So a lot of things were there.
Got it. No,
So
but the reason I asked you as a faculty where you made to do that, they do that sometimes, no.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Um, there's a very nice integration within the
Yeah,
thing. Oh, if you
exactly.
want to, like, let's say for example, teachers back in the day, oh, if you have more doubts, come to my house. There's
Oh no,
tuitions
not
going.
that. Not that. Cross selling is not that sense I'm saying. I'm not saying that you come to my house and I will give you extra classes. Not
Of
that
course, of
cross
course. It is for the
selling
company
is the
itself.
product of the company
Correct.
itself.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That was I was trying to refer to.
I just, maybe it's the wrong example. Got it, got it.
Yeah.
So okay, the way they treat. Okay, and what is the longest number of hours that you've worked teaching? Because teaching is a very energy draining process, right?
So you would be shocked. I think I had a record. I mean, maybe good enough for Guinness Book of Records.
Wow. Please
So
don't
when I
tell me.
started off with time, so as I told you, I was thinking of more like whether I can like make myself very popular and do a lot of classes and do that. So at that point, it was I was driven by taking as many classes. How many classes can I take in a day? So
Right.
I was taking 6 to 7 classes, so like 12 to 14 hours at a stretch.
Wow. Okay.
So started off at morning 7 and ended at evening 7.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Now, how does that 14 hours fit in? I'll tell you. Sometimes what happened was certain faculty members used to be absent for a class for some
Right.
reason, whatever.
Right. Right. Right.
I used to fill for them. So
Okay.
parallelly taking two classes at the same time.
Parallelly.
Yeah. So I
Wow.
teach
Okay.
something in one class. Then I give them, okay, do these questions. Now go to the next class, teach another thing for that class. Then give.
Brilliant.
I used to do that for like that for 6 months at a stretch. I did like
Wow.
so almost 12 hours working, and I used to take no breaks. So I was working all 7 days.
Oh my goodness.
So for
Okay.
6 months I did that, and I was the most number of hours training faculty that was there in that institute at that point.
Did they pay you on an hourly basis or what?
Obviously, there were extra payments for all the others as well. There were extra payments, so that was always there. But
Right.
yeah, that was one of the things. Like I really, I mean, another challenge for me. Like I used to, I did not have time for lunch also. So I went in at 7. Like from home, I used to have something. Went in at 7 and went out at 7, and then had something to eat. Like throughout the day, I was just doing nothing. I mean, only classes back to back, back. So that was a very young age. That I was around what age was I? So I just moved out of IIT, right? So 5, 7, 2007, 8, 9, that period, 2007 to 2010, that period when I was with time. I used to do that a lot.
Crazy. Crazy. And what's the largest number of strength that you've taught
I
to?
never enjoyed taking too many students in a batch because no one benefits. Because I,
Right.
as a faculty, never I don't get to understand whether the guys are understanding. Obviously, when you have like a 50 strength batch, then there would be someone who is very good, someone who is very weak,
Right.
and you are doing injustice to both.
Right.
Because if I focus on the weak guys, the ones who are very strong and who could actually deliver the top scores would not get the required mentoring that is necessary. And
Right.
if I just focus on the stronger guys, then the weaker ones who want to at least do something better in life from where they are, they
Right.
will not understand anything what I am doing.
Right.
So I was always in a dilemma how to proceed. And
Right.
sometimes my feedback also suffered because of that, because I ended up always siding with the ones who are stronger.
Ah,
So I always like kind of subconsciously, I had to force myself a lot to come back on track sometimes.
got it.
So maximum was 50, 50, 60 around.
Wow.
And
Okay.
that is one of the reasons why I started my own company, where I made a point of not keeping more than 15. So that is why, in fact, one of the reasons why my cost overrun was very high also, because there were 15 students
15
and I
students.
closed
Yeah.
the batch. And now there were 2 students who had joined. I had to open a new batch because of those two. And then when new students came back, joined, like after let's say 2, 3 weeks, then I had to give all of those backup classes. So I
Right.
have double cost. But then that was one of the things which I had made up my mind that I'm not going to compromise on. So 15, like I have reached 15, no more entry in that batch. So that
Great.
was there.
The one common thing I've seen with all the trainers, right? I've like spoken to a few trainers before, like, be it CAT, GMAT, SAT. Everybody would have started working for these companies like Time or whatever these, the reason that they'll come out is at one point, they, same thing, like you said, they wouldn't be happy with the ideology or teaching
Right.
so many students. And then, just to improve the quality, and have a satisfaction is how they've come out and they've started, which is great. And so, at what point did you decide, that you wanted to do something on your own? Like, was it the plan from the start you joined time, or what was the
No,
trigger
not
for that?
not from time, because then I had no idea how things were. Like I
Right,
didn't
right,
even know how much the faculty members were paid.
right.
So I remember my conversation with the person who was in charge of the Calcutta center. So he asked me, how much do you expect? I said, whatever you think is right.
Okay.
So I never had that. Then I realized, like after staying back a few months, 6, 7 months, then I understood, okay, how much is this guy getting? How much is that guy getting? How much of a loss I have made and all that. Then I started calculating. But initially, for at least 7, 8 months, I had simply no idea that okay, this is how much people can get paid.
Right.
So yeah, that was the thing.
Got it, Sujoy. So, Sujoy, at what point did this transition happen, and how
Yeah.
was it?
So
Because,
in time, after I left time and joined CL, so I had seen 2, 3 different companies at that point,
right,
and then I decided, well, I teach more or less decently. I know how things are run. I know where people are lacking. These companies are lacking. Maybe I can do some value add in those
right,
areas. So why don't I start something on my own?
right.
And that is when things started. So that was more or less say 2, 3 years before I actually started.
Got it.
I was searching for some partner with whom I
Ah,
can do something, because I could not have done everything by myself. So I was searching, I was talking to guys. Then I met this person, the student I was talking about. Yeah. So, and then we started in 2020.
well, you said you were searching for a partner because you couldn't do everything on your own. Is that related to capital only, or a lot of other things as well?
No. So I always had in mind that someone who is not necessarily another faculty has to join,
Right,
because I have never worked in a corporate. I don't know how businesses or other things run. I mean, I just
right,
have a
right,
vague idea that okay, this is
right,
how things can work, but
right,
how it actually does, I had no idea. So I wanted someone to join from the corporate sector.
right,
So that is the capital was one. I needed capital, so I needed someone to like arrange for capital also, like not our own capital, maybe an investor in that
right,
sense. Yeah.
right,
So that was obviously one. I had no contacts
right.
because I entire time was taking classes. That's it. So I needed contacts. So I did not have them. So my partner should have them. That was my thought process.
It took 3 years for you to find a partner.
Yeah, yeah, roughly. Yeah.
S- Why did it take 3 years? What are the mistakes you made while you were searching for partners in these 3 years?
So a lot of things. I spoke to a lot of guys. Most of them were only keen on doing something only if I put in money, or they were getting paid from day one. So for them, the main idea was how much money are you going to pay me for being with you and stuff. That was not something which I was looking at. I wanted someone who would be equally passionate about the
Correct.
idea, and then so I wasn't getting the spark
Got it.
in any of the people. Yeah, that's why.
Did you realize you're looking at the wrong place? But how did you eventually end up finding this partner? Any changes you made?
Not really. It came to me by luck, actually. I
Hmm.
mean, it was 2000. Uh, yeah, around 18 or so, in that range only. So I was just suddenly I got a call from this. I didn't even have his number, so he said that how are you doing and all that. So I'm planning to come back to Calcutta. What do you think if we start off something? So
Oh,
he
cool.
asked the question.
Okay.
So I just said, yeah, come.
And he fit your criteria. He was working in a corporate.
He was working in a corporate.
Got it. So did he
He's a pretty
exactly
long experience. He has a very good position also. He was working, so he would be leaving everything and coming back. So he would have a lot at stake to lose.
right, right,
Yeah,
right. Lot to lose. Right.
yeah,
And he was doing something related to business only. Yeah, done
uh,
his MBA basically, right? So
yeah. He's an MBA, MBA Gurgaon pass out.
got it, got it. So um, when you started off, especially, it's not that you started and then a partner joined, right? You decided
No.
that you're going to start off. So how did you structure this entire starting up phase? And acquiring students especially is one of the most important things. Usually what they share is, the first time entrepreneurs, there are two kinds of entrepreneurs. First one, they will go get an office, get branding, cards, or furniture, everything, and then look for business. And there are some people who first get business and then do all the others, all the other things.
Yeah. So I was kind of midway. So what I did was, while I was working with the others, I was already doing one-on-one classes for
Right, right.
students abroad.
Privately.
Privately, with students abroad, online, everything, like students across USA and all. There were students from India also, some from Calcutta also, but not having any conflict of interest with any of these.
Right,
Yeah. So I had those my profiles posted in various online portals.
right,
So it was getting a good traction. So I was
right,
getting a steady stream of students.
right,
So when that the conversation happened with my partner,
right.
would be partner rather. So then I started in the conversation with the students. I used to tell them that we are starting off an offline setup now. Instead of saying that come online and we'll do classes, we'll offline setup now. This will be the payment terms. This is the entire curriculum and all that. So you decide, tell your friends also, and we can join. So that was I was doing already, and at the same time, all the content I had prepared myself,
Right.
because while I was working, I had a lot of, I mean, not a lot of, but some free time. I used to take out time. So as I said, like I was working like almost 18, 19 hours that time, like taking classes for 12 hours and then coming back home and doing content and doing all that stuff. So I made all the content from scratch myself for that,
Wow.
for the full of CAT, full GMAT, full GRE, and full SAT, these four things. And
Wow.
then we started. So that is one thing which I have a regret, that I should not have thought of. Like we took the most posh area in Calcutta. So that was in Park Street, and where all the competitors were. And in South Calcutta, there was one more location which I took up. That was in Gold Park. So my first, now on hindsight, I have this thing that I should have, Park Street was fine, but maybe a cheaper location should have been better, at least initially, and then move on. And maybe we could have just done with one center, not two centers in the very beginning. So that would have saved a lot of capital initially. But yeah, more or less this. So we started off in the first year, we managed to get 100 students.
Great. That's a good number, right?
Decent number, but we played a lot on discounts and all,
Right.
which was, I feel, another mistake,
Right.
because discounts are never sustainable.
Right.
Like what is happening to all these companies, like e-commerce companies and all that, they're running
Correct.
into
Correct.
losses.
Yeah. Yeah.
And once you get the hang of discounts, once the customer understands that there are discounts, they will always expect discount.
Correct. Correct.
So you will never be able to come out of that loop. And
Right.
increasing prices later on becomes very difficult. So
Correct.
these two things we made mistakes on, but we were doing fine. We were able to gradually increase and do stuff. But then, yeah, then COVID struck. That was the issue.
So, but the thing is, you were already doing teaching online. You were teaching to students from US and all. And when obviously, you know the cons and perks, sorry, the pros and perks of teaching online. You don't need a place and everything.
Yeah.
Despite having experience doing it online, why did you choose to go offline again?
Just try out something new.
Okay.
Just try out something new. I always had that thing, like I would have my own setup. So that was something
It
which
was
I,
a thing like having
yeah,
one, like
yeah,
a
yeah,
center.
something like it always gave me a kick. That okay, I have my own company, so this is there. There's a physical setup there. So that was the main
Got
reason
it.
why.
So COVID hit. Obviously, your first company was Cubics, which was a physical center. You shut it down after
Yeah,
COVID hit. You transitioned into online.
yeah. So in the very year we were, like we didn't close down immediately. We kept running for 1 year, in spite of having very few offline students coming in. So
Hmm.
to help our students, we transitioned everything, moved everything online. We set up the Zoom accounts and everything, corporate accounts and all that. We started recording the classes and everything, made them. So we used the Google Classroom, which was like we tried to improvise and get as much as possible without spending
Without
too
spending.
much
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So we did all of that. But then the point was the Calcutta crowd is more like uh, not really happy to do online. I
Ah,
I'm not very sure that is the case. Maybe in Delhi or in Mumbai or other places in the big cities in Bangalore, for example, people would be more willing to do online classes. But in Calcutta, it is more that they are more willing to do offline. So for the period of COVID, people just stopped doing classes, and they did
wow.
not just do classes almost. So there was hardly any online stream coming in, revenue coming in from Calcutta students.
Got
Whatever
it.
was coming in was from my students who were abroad and all.
This is you're talking about after transition, after the
Yeah,
pandemic hit.
yeah,
But online geography doesn't matter. You could
yeah.
have
So we never focused on the markets in Bangalore and Delhi and Mumbai and all that, right? So we
may I
never
know
had
why?
any presence. So we then had to start over all over again and have made presence there by having seminars, by having tie-ups with schools, colleges,
Right,
and we did not have that kind of capital because a lot of it was already tied down to the Calcutta center, right? Plus, it was COVID, so it was almost like impossible to have
right,
anything worthwhile happening.
right,
So yeah, so we could not even think of spending any marketing cost on, because we tried doing a lot of these Google AdWords and then Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads and all that. Nothing actually worked.
got it.
That basically that's what my learning was, that Facebook ads are completely, I mean, gone. I mean, they don't really give you any return. Absolutely no return. It's a complete waste. LinkedIn still works, but provided you know how to target the correct people,
Right,
and Google AdWords will work, but then you need to spend a lot of money on that.
right, right,
Google AdWords, so it's the main thing is to grow organic growth, to have organic growth by writing blogs, then writing proper like SEO, proper website creation and
right,
all that.
right,
But since we were at that point of physical setup, we were doing that. We had a more or less proper website, everything which I had done myself. So I
right.
had read up how is SEO done and how to write blogs and all that. So I did the whole thing myself. But it was not top notch, obviously, because I was learning while doing. So it was okay, but it did not have the desired effect during the COVID. The returns did not come from that.
Got it, Sujoy. So how exactly your partner was contributing? But
He
he
was
was he also a faculty or was he
he
just taking
also
care
was
of?
a faculty. He was the reasoning faculty there.
Ah, okay,
So he was also the HR guy. Basically, he was talking to faculty members, deciding who to take, who to not take, looking at marketing, driving the marketing stuff, then negotiating with the investors. That part he was
are
looking
you
at.
now investor backed?
Sorry, no, no, no,
Are you now investor backed? No,
no.
you're not. Okay. So what started the turnaround? From shutting cubics down and then starting one click prep.
Yeah, so there was no revenue coming in, very frankly. So unnecessarily, there was this cost of a setup which was going on. We decided that no point in keeping a center running when
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
is coming in.
yeah. Correct.
So we closed the center down. That was the first step, and we were still doing classes online. But then gradually inflow of students were so low. Then we decided that we'll not have any more students in a batch anymore. So we decided to wind it down completely, because then running a batch was like we had to pay the faculty also. Like there were faculty members for English,
Yeah, yeah,
verbal
yeah, yeah.
ability classes and all. So we had to pay them also for classes. If there was only one or two students in a class, then didn't make sense for the.
Right.
So
So how
that.
did you turn this situation around?
So I just
Sujoy?
simply closed down the website. Not completely. I kept it on, but then directed all feed to One Click Prep website, and whatever Google presence and everything I had with Cubics, rebranded the entire thing as One Click Prep, and clearly mentioned only one-on-one classes, no batch.
Right. So you don't do batches anymore. It's only
No,
one
I
on
don't
one
do
now.
batches at all.
Okay. So now, how? What is your students come from where? They're not only from Calcutta; they are from all over the
No,
world.
I mean hardly from Calcutta actually.
Right.
So not
Right.
even 10% is from Calcutta. Everyone is from like maybe the rest of India. A lot of students are from Mumbai and Pune and this side, and a lot of them are from the US. USA, you have a lot of students for the SAT.
Right, right, right. So Calcutta, what I mean, people there just don't do online, is it?
They don't have, they have this aversion for online.
Even now.
I think so, because all these colleges are there, right, in Calcutta. So in all of them, there were problems. I mean, in the proper bachelor programs, there were problems. Like students used to log in but not do any classes at all. They did not want to do the tests or exams online, and there are a lot of always opposition to online in general.
Got it.
So, yeah,
Got it. So, when you are doing batches, right? Obviously, there are so many more students. The fees on each student will be proportionate. It may not be high, but to get the same kind of money with one-on-one, you'd have to raise your fees and stuff like that, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, how was it? I mean, the market was ready to pay that much, or did you really have to
Um,
sell?
no, so I mean, I to be frank, I still have no idea about how much people in general charge one on one. So I have got news that people charge as high as 9,000 rupees per hour to 10,000 rupees per hour for
Wow.
GMAT classes. Yeah, in India only. I'm talking of people in Delhi charge that much, which
Okay.
I think like makes no sense. I mean, I would never be able to charge that much from anyone, even if someone was willing to pay, because it does not take me that much of effort to actually take a class on quant, because it's that easy for me. So I won't charge someone that high just because I can.
So, how
So,
much is your effort worth?
see, initially when I started off online, I was doing so low that some of my students used to tell me, "Why don't you increase your fees? It's too low for the amount of value that you add in a class."
Can you can you can you please share those numbers?
I was charging 900 per hour,
Oh my God. Okay.
so that was 10% of what the topmost guy was possibly charging at that point. So that was like 5 years back. So 5 6 years back rather. Right now I charge 2,500 per hour. That too
That's
sometimes I
also
offer.
not much.
That is actually on the very lower side.
Yeah.
Now students tell me that you are very low cost wise, like really very effective. Cost wise very low. There are
You
people
don't
like
need money, is it?
1,000, like it's still. I mean, I'm still 25% of that guy.
Why? You don't need money.
I need money, but this kind of I'm very happy doing whatever I'm doing. So I still till now I do a lot of classes. Like today I already had how many hours? Let me just check. So I will be doing 10 11 hours today classes.
Wow. You don't have anything else to do or what? I mean, you don't have hobbies. You love this so
A
much.
lot of things. I have my kid. I spend the entire afternoon with her.
Okay.
So my classes are like early morning, 6 o'clock, then late night, 1 o'clock a.m.
Right.
So I have a huge. Plus, I also do a lot of content. So I
Right.
have some good name in content. I have tied up with Mercer Metal
Right. Right.
in
Right.
India.
Right.
Then I have a tie up with the chemistry group in UK
Right.
for their content. I have made content for Test Funda. I have made content for Manhattan Review. I have made content for Career Launcher also. I have. There are like I think till now I've made more than 10,000 questions combined for all these tests, and not only for these tests but for recruitment and all that. What Mercer does basically is
Got
recruitment,
it.
right?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
these things. So I do a lot of content also. And
Great.
content is again something which I like very easily can do, because like just
Yeah.
questions, yeah, so it can be done very easily for me. At least it's not a big deal. So I'm more or less happy. I don't see any reason why I should increase my fees that high, and I don't even, maybe I'm not sure, but unless I have some very concrete data backing that there will be some benefit, I don't want to risk it again changing the equilibrium which is there.
Right. You want to be safe. You're playing a safe game. You do not want to lose what you have by unnecessarily
Yeah,
increasing the
because
price.
I've just recovered from this
Correct.
COVID
Understand.
thing,
Understand.
right?
No.
So
No. No.
yeah,
No. No.
so
No.
whatever.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Basically,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm doing pretty well off in that sense. I'm in that sense cool about it. But yeah,
No.
obviously later on maybe I would try to do something which is, try make another try at something which I don't know yet what. But
Got it.
not in, again, a test prep company as a physical location, not that, but maybe something else related to test prep, maybe in related to content creation or something. Maybe I could look at stuff.
Got it, Sujoy. No, this is what I was looking for, right? I mean, I just wanted to know what is your mindset behind. This is very clear. You're basically saying, look, I want peace of mind, certainty. I don't want to go in the mode of, okay, what if I increase my fees and students start decreasing and stuff like that,
Yeah, right.
which is fair enough. That's a
In fact,
very
students have decreased a lot because not because of the fees and all, but one of the reasons why I failed was because of COVID. A lot of colleges, like B schools abroad and all, went test optional, right? Even in the SAT and all.
right.
So there was this huge drop. So
Ah,
in the percentage of students, so in GMAT and all, it dropped. Not that much in SAT though. SAT remained the same almost, but GMAT has kind of dropped overall.
right. Sujoy, you spoke about the, creating questions for a lot of companies. Questions only, no? When you talk about
Yeah.
creating content, it's questions only,
Questions.
no?
Sometimes I made the theory part also, but
Oh, right.
majorly questions. Majorly questions.
This is a very, very hidden industry, content creation. It's a very niche industry, very small industry. Can you elaborate, how this industry works? If somebody is interested in doing that, how should they go about?
See, first of all, create some content and post it on your social media profile, like a LinkedIn profile, where people can at least see and orient your profile saying that you create content, so that when you see people search for content creators and all, I mean, someone can actually, your name can pop up. That is one. Next is, I would say, get in touch with, if possible, get in touch with these companies, mail them that you make content and all, whether they're willing to see a reference, a few samples, and then take a call. So
Right.
these two things you can try. One of what worked for me was when I was just started out doing content. So there was this guy who approached me. So he was making content for a company X, which was like a top GMAC and all that. So he outsourced the content work to me, and that is where I started. So I had very good time
Right.
with that person.
Right.
So I did a lot of work just for him,
Got it.
and then kind of I kept on writing on my LinkedIn page, on different social media pages, that see, this is my content, this is type of question and all that. And I used to advertise to everyone that I make content. On my CV I had it written, I posted my CV online in so many places. All
Got
those
it.
online portals where I had for my profiles, I wrote there that I make content and all that. I put it in Upwork and all those places.
Right. Right. Right.
When I started getting more work based on that. So, and all of them are long-term associations. Like there was one company which was CBL Pro, which was
Hmm.
also into the same. So I worked with them for 5 years.
They are a
Most
test
of the
prep
time
company.
they're, sorry,
They are
no,
a
no,
test prep company.
no, it's not a
No,
test company. It's not a test company,
they're all
but
publishers.
yeah, yeah, they are online content publishers. So
Right.
with Mercer, I have been there associated with almost 7 years now. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, so and then different leads keep coming. They have sent word of mouth from there, like they have tie-ups, right? Like contacts rather, with different other companies. So they ask them, they say that okay, you get in touch with me, and this is how the thing builds up.
Your expertise lies in mathematics primarily, correct?
Quant, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Quant,
yeah.
and you're saying you're working with a company, Mercer or whatever company, for 7 years, right? What is there to work for 7 years? I mean, do you keep doing the same format, different content, or
Yeah,
is there so
same.
much?
There are some formats which take up almost 70% of the workload. Same format, different questions. Every time you have a new set of questions that you have to make.
Okay. Oh,
So
it's also about the changing policies by the test prep boards. Ah, right, 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 right. That's where you keep getting new projects, right?
yeah. Plus there is 30% which is offbeat. So suddenly you might have they need guesstimates for some company, recruiting company. So you have to make their estimates. So I make the guesstimates. They need case studies, so I try to help them with a few case studies maybe.
Ah,
So
okay.
like that. So that is 30% of the work. The major chunk is proper aptitude, abstract reasoning, spatial reasoning,
Right,
verb,
right.
non-verbal. I don't do verbal because it's
Yeah,
not my forte at all. So
right.
so yeah, so that's 70% of the work. 30% is different.
What do you mean when you said guesstimates?
Oh, guesstimates is a favorite thing. So like for example, this used to be there in those. IIT interviews. So when
Huh.
a company used to visit an IIT campus for interviews, so then one of the questions used to be a guesstimate. So, for example, they say that okay, guesstimate is like one example. How much does a rickshaw puller in your city or in your locality make in a week? So you assume
Oh,
numbers. Okay, how many days, how many hours is that guy working? Is he taking an off day? You make that proper ratio. Then how much does he have to pay for his maintenance of the cycle and all that? How many
right,
hours in the day? So during peak hours, how many customers can he get?
right,
During morning hours, out of those customers, how many are long distance? How many are short distance? What could be a possible fare for a long distance? So,
right,
and using all these numbers, you get a number that this is his. So what matters is not whether your numbers are right or wrong, but your numbers should be reasonable. I mean,
reasonable,
you could not
right,
say that okay, fare is 100 rupees in a rickshaw. It's not possible. So that
right,
is not. But what they majorly see is your logical thought process. Are you able to think
right,
correctly?
right.
So
Got
that's
it.
what. So guesstimates mean what happens is we give the data. So we
Right,
say that this is roughly the data. So what could be the number? So you have to use all the data and see that okay, which combinations of data will give you the answer. So there could be two, three ways of getting the same answer, but the
right,
different two, three ways will give you slightly different answers to the final answer.
right.
So the minimum value is how much, maximum value is how much. So your answer is in between those two. So like that is the you have to design a guesstimate like that.
Got it, Sujoy. Sujoy, and what about when it comes to, test prep you charge an hourly? Is it like a piecework? Do you charge hourly or is it per question? How did you figure that out? Because you
For,
first started off for your friend, somebody. You're not,
it was
yeah,
for content is always per question.
okay,
Content is always per question.
okay,
So if you have a huge bunch, then the per question rate is tweaked a little bit down because
okay,
you are giving a huge volume. If
okay.
it is a short duration work, then
Even here, are you charging lower than all your competitors?
I have no idea.
Okay. So what are your
So whenever
your
I ask
pricing
them
like?
that, like when I say that, okay, you need to revise or something, I just very politely say that, do you think that this can be increased a little bit?
I can
So
help you out here with what is the maximum that they charge.
okay,
So I have spoken
so
to
I have
people.
some idea. See, I know some idea here that for a GMAT question, for verbal at least, there are people who charge 5,000 bucks per question.
Oh, this is something that I have not heard of. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
This is okay. This is
Uh,
Indians. Indians charging 5,000 rupees per question. No,
for sorry,
Indians charging 5,000 rupees per
Indians.
question.
Yeah, yeah. 5,000
Wow.
rupees per question, but that's for verbal. I don't have much of an idea for quant. I have a feeling that it could be in the range of 1,200 to 1,500 because it's way tougher to create an original verbal question than to create an original quant question. Because in verbal, given that mainly it's critical reasoning or reading comprehension, where there has to be some passage on which the question is based.
Right, right, right.
Creating the passage itself is a very huge task. You can't just lift something out from anywhere because there will be copyright issue. So
Ah,
you have to tweak it, change the data and all
it
that,
has to
make
be
it.
original, totally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it is way difficult to create a verbal question, at least for me, I feel, than to create a quant question. So verbal questions being charged at 5,000 bucks, I think is reasonable.
Wow.
I mean, someone who is making that level, like a actual GMAC level question, that's
Okay.
reasonable. Yeah. But
But you
for
only
quant, I
created
think
quant questions.
I only focus on quant. I only focus
Okay.
on quant.
Okay. And
With
what do you
quant, I think
charge?
if there is someone who is like in that scale giving, then maybe 1,200, 1,500 would be. I don't charge that much.
You're the most content guy I've ever come across. Trust me. Okay. See, I understand with the students you're charging a certain way because okay, I'm going to get so many students. There is a certain peace of mind for you. You are not putting yourself under risk. But these are big companies, no? And they come back to you. They like you. Do they come to you for your pricing because you charge
Maybe,
less?
maybe that's one that could be one reason why. That
Ah,
definitely could be a reason why.
okay, okay, got it. But
So I
if
kind
you,
of believe the this dialogue by from the movie Godfather.
okay,
Make
what
an
is that?
offer which they can't refuse.
Okay, okay, got it. Interesting. Got it, Sujoy. So, Sujoy, pricing is one thing, but you said quants creating questions for quants is easier than creating questions for verbal? How long does it take for you to create a question?
5 minutes with solution. Like if I'm
Wow.
full flow, I would do that in 5 minutes per question.
Okay, here's something that I want to know. Okay, there is something called as plagiarism,
Yeah.
and there is something called as original content. See, plagiarism, obviously, you don't copy. What technically, what, let's say there is one question which has got a name Ramu. Ramu buys whatever,
Changing the
whatever.
name does not make a new question.
Or so, what accounts for plagiarism?
Basically, see, you
Is
have
there a rule, like a thumb rule?
see it differs from country to country. In India, it's more relaxed, I guess. People just change the name, change a number, and get a new answer. Everything else remains the same. Is a new question.
Oh my God. The process of the solution to that problem is exactly the same. It's just change of name and numbers. That's it.
Yeah, and maybe changing the wordings a bit so that if you do a Google search, it might not come out that fast.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Ha
that
ha
is
ha
what
ha.
a lot of people in India do. I mean,
Okay.
believe me, I have seen, because I have often required content for verbal and all also to
Ah.
give to someone. And I've seen like, okay, you search actually picking different parts of the question. Put it in the Google search only, and it comes out.
Hmm.
I can clearly see, okay, it's exactly the same question. Okay, you have changed this word from the third line to the first line, changed a few names, changed the number. Okay, so this is what a lot of people actually do. I do it like, see, it's not, I mean, humanly possible to create I mean, because concepts are almost the same, right? I mean,
Correct. Yeah.
percentage mean, what new concept can you get?
Correct.
So
Correct.
you have to basically see, you can always take inspiration.
Yeah. Yeah.
By that I don't mean Anu Malik inspiration. So Anu Malik was president.
Right. Right. Right.
So inspiration means actual inspiration. Okay, so this question has basically asked, okay, this discount instead of this being applied on this, they have given it in rupees. Okay, let me just change this and make it as a percentage discount. Change the value, and okay, they are asking you to find how much is the cost price. Okay, I'll figure out how to find out the selling price. Now I will change the entire language. I will change the entire story, and now you have a new question. And this I do with my own questions. So when
Got
I
it. Got it. Of course.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I made the first 1,000, 1,500 questions exactly fresh, and then I started tweaking the questions for every question, and so that there is absolutely no similarity in the solution question.
Repetition.
Because and every time I start thinking, okay, do I send him to buy grapes this time or do I send him to buy watermelons, and start creating a new story? That's a waste of time. So I see a question. Okay, this is okay. This guy has bought grapes. This is how he has bought. Okay, let me change something here. Okay, now this is a fresh new question. There is no similarity involved, and this is fine.
Got
So
it.
all my companies basically they always cross check. So all these companies they cross check. So they have their own tools to check.
Yeah.
So
Right. Right.
they always check it, and
Has there been instances where
yes, yes,
they've come up
obviously,
with
yeah, yeah. As I said, I mean, someone somewhere might have made the question also, right? I mean, I am
correct?
making something. There's because concepts are limited, right? So you can't really
Right.
create a new concept everywhere. Cost
Right.
price will remain cost price only,
Correct. Correct.
right?
Correct.
So yes, there have been cases, but I don't think it's always been less than 3% overall.
Less than 3%. Okay.
Yeah, 3 to 4%, not more than that. I don't
That's
think.
your thing. But what's the industry
No,
acceptable?
no. So they tell me that these are the questions which are looking same. So please change. So I change them again.
Right. Right.
So that's how I'm saying that it is 4%, maybe. Because I have been asked to do that change very, 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 very rarely.
Okay. Got it, Sujoy. And you said you've created close to 10,000 questions now. That is entirely quants for
No,
different
quant,
tests.
reasoning, data interpretation.
Right.
I
Reasoning,
also
when
do
you
CAD
say,
content, right?
right, right,
CAD has a lot and logical reasoning and data interpretation also.
right. Sujoy, from your experience, this content thing, no, um, where do you see this going? Is the demand seasonal, or is the demand now? Is it increasing? I'll ask you. I'll tell you why I'm asking this question. Now today, everybody is doing online. Every individual is becoming their own brand, and everybody's got an online portal, an online platform. So which kind of becomes that you need to have your original content at some point. You can't, like let's say if I'm a teacher in the neighborhood, I can buy one book and then teach the questions and take something. Nobody's gonna know copyright and stuff like that. From all these perspective, where do you see this entire content creation for test prep
See,
going?
those companies which, let's say, see, frankly speaking, if you're starting off as a fresh faculty, it doesn't matter whether your content is original or not. What
Correct.
matters is whether you can teach properly or not.
Correct.
So even if you don't have content doesn't make you make or break a institute. At least
Okay.
someone who is starting off,
Right.
because content is so widely available. If you
Right.
can use a reasonably good source,
Right.
which is at par or commensurate to what the test is asking about. So you are, let's say, teaching for GMAT and solving questions for CAT.
Right.
Then sooner or later, the students will stop coming to you. So it has to be proper content.
Right.
But you take it from anywhere, doesn't matter. As
Right.
long as you are not telling the students, see, this is mine. Because the
Right.
students are also smart. They will just search it on Google and get the original source.
Right.
So then you have loss of face,
Right.
which again leads to loss of business. So don't tell that your content is yours unless it is actually yours. But content doesn't really make or break anything.
Got it. Got it.
Whether you can teach or not actually decides.
Got it.
The other thing is content requirement is going up. Digital side, obviously content requirement is going up because everything is changing. There is going
It's a
to be a
new.
huge requirement of questions, because there are slight changes in the huge changes in English and slight changes in math as well.
Okay.
So some questions, really tough questions, are required and all that. So that is one. And all these test prep companies like Kaplan and Princeton, or the ones which are the top, they
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
always keep working on content, because I have seen that same content, if you keep on using, then the students who are repeat users would find that there is no benefit of joining that particular or buying that particular thing, because
Correct.
after all you are giving the same thing.
Yeah.
So for that reason they would always revise or review their content, edit, modify something or that. So these test prep companies will always do that. Same goes for a career launcher or a Time or an IMS or XYZ. Some are more frequently changing, some are less frequently changing, but they do change. So eventually they would need content. So
Got it.
it is seasonal during the tests that come up. So like CAT is in November, right? So based on that, maybe uploading the content would take, let's say, 2-3 months, or editing and reviewing maybe take another 2-3 months. So 6 months prior to that, there would be a huge surge of content requirement for those
Right.
companies.
Right.
They might outsource depending on whether their own team is uh, sufficient or not to make up for that requirement. So that's how it works.
Got it, Sujoy. Sujoy, let's talk about your client acquisition, sales, and marketing and stuff like that. Let's start with your students, right? What is the split between inbound and outbound? Are most of the students you get, they come to you as an inbound lead, or do you do any outbound activities as well?
I do nothing almost now, at least. I used to
Okay.
do a lot, like going to, like when I was having that setup. So I
Center,
used to,
right.
yeah, so I was doing college seminars and all that, um, advertises, then leaflets,
Right, right,
posters, billboards.
right,
So I did everything. I tried
right.
out everything there. But
Huh.
then after a period, then when I moved to online, then nothing of these mattered, right? Like,
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
so then it had to be online leads. And
Right,
online leads, frankly speaking, I am not an expert in that. So I don't know much of how things actually, there are a lot of nitty gritties in that, like make certain changes. So if I start focusing on that, I was recently having a conversation with another person who asked me the exact same question. So I told him the same thing, that if I started focusing on that okay, how to make how to generate more leads, then I would not get time to do actually what the work I do. And I do everything myself. So starting from like X to Y, Z, I mean A to Z, everything I do. So I had to decide, like, okay, so this is not something I'm going to get into, and I don't have that much of money that I'll spend on Google AdWords, because the top companies which are there, they spend so much.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
nothing
yeah.
like
You can
huge.
never beat them.
Yeah, and doesn't make sense to have, let's say, 2 months of huge spending, and then after that don't spend at all. Then what's the point of doing that 2 months? Either you do consistently or you don't do it at all. So I
Correct.
don't do anything of that. I only do blogs. and that too very infrequently because I don't get time. So I write some articles, then they get some feed, they generate some interest. Some people come in contact, mainly on LinkedIn. I do that. Then they ask me personally whether how do I charge and how my process is and all that. So I reply on the message and a student comes in. That is one, and the other is word of mouth.
These are the two main.
That's it. That's it. Nothing else.
Got it. And for creating questions, creating content, is
No,
it
I have
inbound, outbound?
those two, three companies which I am dealing with consistently.
Right.
Sometimes a new company like yours has like got in touch with me. Mainly, I think has you have seen it on my LinkedIn profile. Maybe that I do content.
Right. Right.
So because so I think their LinkedIn algorithm is helping me in that sense, helping me to reach out to you people who are looking for content. So sometimes
Right.
that happens. So that happens. So basically, it's all LinkedIn's help. But I personally don't take much effort in reaching out personally to content creators, whether they need content or not, or please review my sample and all that. That I don't do much anymore.
You don't do that.
Yeah, I
Got it,
used to
Sujoy.
at one point of time, like initially. Now I don't do anymore.
Got it. Got it. Sujoy, final part of this podcast, maybe coming to tech. You're doing online everything. What are the tools you use? What are the tools you need? What is the gap you have right now, if at all you have any gap?
Frankly, though tech should have been a very important, I hardly use any tool as such. I just have a Zoom and I have a
Okay.
Google Meet account. That's it. I don't
You have
have
a
a pen tablet.
pen tablet.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it.
And nothing special. No special cameras. No special sound systems. Nothing. So that's it. I had one very old laptop which was creating problems. So that I replaced 6 months back. Right
Okay.
now this is going on fine. So
Okay.
that's more or less it. I don't
Students also
invest.
don't demand much, is it? They don't demand recordings. They don't demand
So
recordings.
recordings, so I do it on Zoom directly, right? So
Okay.
there is an option for recording the call. So I record it. I have a paid Google account,
Okay.
so that I upload it there.
Huh.
Until the student is there with me, he has access to that recording 24/7.
Okay.
Once he is done, then I delete
Delete
the
it.
recording. So that's it. So it's
And
very
what about
very laymanish type. Nothing extraordinarily smart or something. Nothing
got
like
it,
that.
got it, got it. What about giving mock tests and all?
I don't do mock tests. Because frankly speaking, I cannot do a GMAT or a GRE or a GRE or a GMAT mock test because GMAT mock tests are adaptive. So unless I have an actual algorithm which actually behaves in that adaptive fashion,
Right, right,
so I would be cheating a guy who and I say that okay, this is a mock you can take for GMAT. So it's not right. So I tell them very frankly, see, do not buy GMAT mocks from any XYZ players because GMAT questions are curated and then they're tested on a lot of students. On that basis, their difficulty levels are judged. It's not like I decide this is difficult and hence it is difficult. It is what the students have said globally that this is difficult and
right,
hence this is difficult. So the time taken to solve a question is very high or
right.
percentage of errors are so high. So that question now becomes difficult. For me, it could be a very easy question. So that is how it is. So any newbie company which is like saying that okay, this is our GMAT mock test and take it and you will do great wonders, they will never be able to replicate the scores. So their
Got it.
score will not match with the actual GMAT score. So I tell them very frankly, either you go to Kaplan, buy that, or maybe GMAT Club. They have those mocks. There are a few other companies which do mocks also, but Kaplan and GMAT Club are two very well-known players. So tell them just take their mocks plus the official mocks. Nothing beats the official mocks. Same I tell them for GRE also. You take Kaplan or take the official mocks. That's it. And SAT, I never had a requirement till now because SAT provided so many mocks for free with the
Right.
QAS service plus the official on their website also they had so many mocks. So you never needed extra mocks for SAT. So
Yeah.
creating a SAT mock test never was a requirement anyways, or ACT for that matter. They had too many of those freely available mocks on their websites and everywhere. Now SAT mocks would be required. But again, so I since I would not have a platform where I can give them actual experience of a mock,
Right.
just treating a mock to be a collection of questions is not right.
Got it.
Mock is not a collection of questions. A collection of questions so
It
that
has to be an exact replica of that experience. That's what you consider it
experience is
as.
important.
Got it. And the students, there has not been any student, do they ask you when they join, what are your processes? Do you
Yeah, yeah.
use
So
these
I tell
tools?
them everything. So I have a proper format message ready where I have mentioned everything in proper way. So I send them that. They see that. If they're happy with the pricing, then tell them the details and everything. For they have never come to me asking for mock tests and all, whether you provide mocks or not,
Got it.
because they also understand, because I mean any XYZ cannot offer proper mock. So I mentioned that in the mail itself, the letter itself, that for mocks use these resources only. That's it.
Got it, Sujoy. Sujoy, thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah.
Very candid and very, this is all it is. You just didn't make a big fuss about what you're doing. You just made it look
Yeah,
very,
no, it
very
is very
simple.
simple. Yeah, there's no rocket science here. I just know maths. I just tell everyone what maths is. I teach them maths. That's it.
Great, great, Sujoy. It was, as I said, it was a pleasure. I hope to probably catch you after a year, couple of years down the line to see. I'll be very interested to see if you've made any advancements in the way you teach, any tech improvements,
I don't
and
think
stuff
I
like
would
that.
do that, but maybe, yeah, maybe 2 3 years down the line, maybe I could be doing something else along with it. So let's see whether that happens or not.
Right, 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 right. Got it, Sujoy. Thank you so much. It was a
Okay.
pleasure.